Welcome back to my channel Only Bio, presenting up the NEET 2020 paper on the MCQ solved from question number 61 to 70, all with detailed explanation. The first question relates with the chapter Organisms and Environment, and the question is a kind of the match the trophic levels with their correct species examples in the grassland ecosystem. So we have two columns here, 1 and 2, A being fourth trophic level, B second trophic level, C first trophic level, and D third trophic level. And the examples here given are crow, vulture, rabbit, grass. And these are the options given here, and the correct answer is going to be 4. That is fourth trophic level vulture, second trophic level rabbit, first trophic level grass, and third trophic level crow. Now friends, for an ecosystem to work, there has to be a flow of energy within it, right? So the organisms of the ecosystem need energy in the form of food. The ultimate source of this energy is the sun. So producers like green plants that trap the solar energy and convert it into chemical energy, that is food. Okay, they are the producers. So when a primary consumer eats the producer, a part of this energy is passed on to it. The primary consumer is then eaten by the secondary consumer, secondary by tertiary consumer, and so on. So in this way, energy gets transferred from one consumer to the next higher level of consumer. In a forest ecosystem, grass is eaten by a deer, which in turn is eaten by a tiger. So the grass, deer, tiger, they form a kind of a food chain, right? So depending on this, we can definitely relate up with the answer. The next question relates with the chapter genes. The first phase of translation is dash, and the options are A. Recognition of DNA molecule, B. Amino acylation of tRNA, C. Recognition of an anticodon, and D. Binding of mRNA to ribosome. And the correct answer is B, that is amino acylation of tRNA. Friends, translation is a process by which a protein is synthesized from the information contained on the mRNA. Now, translation of an mRNA molecule by the ribosome occurs in 3 stages. First, initiation, second, elongation, and third, termination. Okay, but during initiation, what happens is the small ribosomal subunit first binds to the start of the mRNA sequence. And then what happens is a transfer RNA molecule, it carries the amino acid methionine, which binds to what is called as the start codon, that is AUG of the mRNA sequence. The next question is from Kingdom Plantae, and the question is strobili or cones are found in dash. A. Terrace, B. Markentia, C. Equisetum, and D. Salvinia. And the correct answer here is Equisetum. See friends, cones which are called as strobilis in botany. Strobili is plural. It is nothing but a mass of scales or bracts which are usually oval or ovate in shape, and they contain the reproductive organs of certain non-flowering plants. The cone, a distinguishing feature of pines and other conifers, is also found on all gymnosperms and on some club mosses and on horsetails. Now, Equisetum belongs to pteridophytes, which are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem. Pteris is a homosporous fern. Okay, and Markentia is a genus of liverworts. So, and Salvinia, of course, the fourth option, Salvinia, it is a floating kind of a fern which is heterosporous, that is, it produces two different types of spores. The next question relates with the chapter classification of animals. It's a match the following. Column 1, we have A, B, C, D as 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits. B is heterocircle caudal fin, C is air bladder, and D is the poison sting. And in the column 2, we have first trigones, second cyclostomes, 3 chondrichthyes, and 4th osteichthyes. And these are the options given. The correct answer for this is the option 4. That is 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits can be related with cyclostomes. Heterocircle caudal fin is a typical feature of chondrichthyes, air bladder being a typical feature of osteichthyes, and poison sting, the example being trigon. Now, cyclostomes, cyclostomata, is a group of agnatha which contains the jawless fishes like the lampreys and the hagfishes. Both groups have jawless mouths with horny epidermal structures, and they have 5 to 16 pairs of gills in sac-like pouches ideally. Now, chondrichthyes is a class that contains cartilaginous fishes, which these are jawed vertebrates which have paired fins, paired nares, scales, a heart with its chamber in series, and skeletons made up of cartilage rather than bone. And their tail fin is heterocircle, that is asymmetrical. Now, the third option, that is C, that is swim bladder, which is also at times called as a gas bladder, where fish maw or air bladder is an internal gas-filled organ which contributes to the ability of many bony fishes, but not cartilaginous fishes, to control their buoyancy and thus to stay at their current water depth without having to waste energy in swimming. Also, the dorsal position of the swim bladder means the center of the mass is below the center of the volume, allowing it to act as a stabilizing agent. Also, the swim bladder functions at times as a resonating chamber to produce or receive the sound. And the option D, that is poison sting. A fish possessing the poison sting is trigon, that is stingray. It is found on its tail, and the poison released is strong enough to stun an animal. The next question relates with the chapter cell division. The question is, some dividing cells exit the cell cycle and enter the vegetative inactive stage. This is called quiescent stage, that is G0. This process occurs at the end of dash. A. G1 phase, B. S phase, C. G2 phase, and D. M phase. The answer here is D. M phase. Now there's a lot of confusion among the students, so let me clarify. See, the question is G0 occurs at the end of. So the answer is M phase. If the question would have been G0 occurs during, then the answer would have been G1. Now the G0 or resting phase is a period in the cell cycle in which the cells exit the cell cycle and then exist in a quiescent stage. It is viewed as an extended G1 phase where the cell is neither dividing nor preparing to divide, or a distinct quiescent stage that occurs outside of the cell cycle. This question relates with the chapter Human Nutrition, and the question is, identify the correct statement with reference to human digestive system. And the question is, serosa is the innermost layer of the alimentary canal. B. Ileum is a highly coiled part. C. Vermiform appendix arises from the duodenum. D. Ileum opens into the small intestine. And the correct answer is B. Ileum is a highly coiled part. मतलब ये एक करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट है, बाकी के जो स्टेटमेंट्स है वो गलत है या इनकरेक्ट है. Now see, what is wrong with the statement? The option A, serosa, you should remember it is the outermost and not the innermost layer, because the innermost layer is the mucosa. Now the option C, that is vermiform appendix, it arises from the cecum and not from the duodenum, hence that's a wrong statement. And ileum opens into the large intestine and not into the small intestine. Now the next question relates with the chapter Human Reproduction, and the question is, in which of the following techniques the embryos are transferred to assist those females who cannot conceive? And the options given are A. GIFT and ZIFT, B. ICSI and ZIFT, C. GIFT and ICSI, D. ZIFT and IUT. And the correct answer for this question is D. Now friends, first option, GIFT, is gamete intrafallopian transfer. ZIFT is zygote intrafallopian transfer, which are nothing but the modified versions of in vitro fertilization. Now, like IVF, these procedures involve retrieving an egg from the woman, then they combine it with the sperm in the lab and transfer it back to her body. But in GIFT and ZIFT, the process goes more quickly. While in traditional IVF, that is in vitro fertilization, जिसको आप test tube baby कहते हो, The embryos are observed and raised in the laboratory for 3 to 5 days. In ZIFT, the fertilized eggs at this stage, that is called as zygotes, are placed in the fallopian tubes within 24 hours. And in GIFT, the sperm and the eggs are just mixed together before being inserted, and with luck, one of the eggs will become fertilized inside the fallopian tube. Now, for some women who haven't been able to get pregnant with normal in vitro fertilization, GIFT or ZIFT may be a very good idea. Okay, now coming to the next, that is ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. It is a specialized form of in vitro fertilization that is used primarily for the treatment of severe cases of male factor infertility. In the ICSI process, a tiny needle called as a micropipette is used to inject a single sperm into the center of the egg. With either traditional IVF or ICSI, once fertilization occurs, the fertilized egg, which is now called as the embryo, grows in the laboratory for 1 to 5 days before it is transferred to the woman's uterus. So I hope you have understood this. I take you to the next, which relates with the chapter morphology of flowering plants. The question is the plant parts which consists of two generations, one within the other. First, pollen grains inside the anther. Second, germinated pollen grain with two male gametes. Third, seed inside the fruit. And fourth, embryo sac inside the ovule. The options are A 1, 2 and 3, B 3 and 4, C 1 and 4 and D 1 only. And the correct answer for this question is C, that is 1 and 4. Friends, a seed develops from an ovule which consists of an integument and nucellus or megasporangium. The parts of an ovule develop a haploid megaspore which grows into a haploid female gametophyte. So this female gametophyte develops into an egg or oospore which is fertilized by the male gamete, which in turn develops into a zygote. Okay, so the zygote develops into an embryo or new sporophyte. The embryo is surrounded by female gametophyte which is haploid, but the embryo itself is diploid. So in this way, the seed contains three generations locked one within the other. Now pollen grains are formed by meiosis, so they are haploid, but anthers have diploid cells. Germinated pollen grain with two male gametes are going to be haploid. The seed is diploid and the fruit is also diploid. And this is the reason why we have the option C as the correct answer. The next question relates with the chapter cell division, and the question is dissolution of synaptonemal complex occurs during dash. A. Zygotine, B. Diplotene, C. Leptotene and D. Packetine. And the correct answer here is diplotene. Friends, prophase 1 is divided into 5 distinctive substages. Leptotene, in which the chromosomes begin to condense and are attached to the nuclear membrane via their telomeres. Zygotene, in which synapsis begins with the synaptonemal complex formed between homologous chromosomes. Packetine, wherein it involves crossing over of genetic material between non-sister chromatids. Diplotene, in which the synapsis ends with disappearance of the synaptonemal complex, but the homologous pair, it remains attached at the chiasmatic region. And dikinesis, jahan par chromosomes become fully condensed and the nuclear membrane disintegrates prior to metaphase 1. Now the next question relates with the chapter nervous coordination. The question is, match the following. We have column 1 and column 2. A. Organ of corti, B. Cochlea, C. Eustachian tube and D. Stapes. In column 2, we have first connects the middle ear and the pharynx, second coiled part of the labyrinth, third attached to the oval window, and fourth located on the basilar membrane. And these are the options given here. The correct answer is going to be the second one, wherein organ of corti is located on the basilar membrane, cochlea being the coiled part of the labyrinth, eustachian tube connects the middle ear and the pharynx, and stapes is nothing but attached to the oval window. Look on the screen to understand this better. The organ of corti or spiral organ, which is normally it is referred to as, it is a receptor organ for hearing and is located in the mammalian cochlea. Now this highly varied strip of epithelial cells, it allows for transduction of auditory signals into nerve impulse action potential. The cochlea is a hollow spiral shaped bone found in the inner ear that plays a key role in the sense of hearing and participates in the process of auditory transduction. The eustachian tube is a canal that connects the middle ear to the nasopharynx, which consists of the upper throat and the back of the nasal cavity. And this is basically involved in controlling the pressure within the middle ear, making it equal with the air pressure outside the body. And the stapes is the third bone of the ear ossicles in the middle ear. It is a stirrup-shaped bone and the smallest in the human body, and it rests on the oval window to which it is connected by annular ligament. Friends, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't done it. Thank you so much.